it's Mackenzie. Welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for being here. Today, we're doing the Graceling Part 2 reading vlog. Are you excited? I'm excited. So, just so you are aware, I have a new tattoo. It has, like, plastic wrap on it. So, if it starts to distract you, if it looks weird, I'm sorry. I have to keep it on for a week. A week! So it might be with us for the whole vlog, but that's okay, because we're very excited about the tattoo. But the tattoo is not why we are here today. We are here today to read. So we are starting with Bitterblue, and then we're going to do Winterkeep after that. So these are books 3 and 4 of the Graceling Realm series by Kristen Cashore. I read the first 2 books, Graceling and Fire, last month? But now we are here to read Bitterblue and Graceling, and my holds for the audiobooks at the library are going to be up soon, and people are waiting for those audiobooks. So I have to, like, hurry and speed my little butt along. We are trying to get these babies done, because I know nothing about 3 and 4. As opposed to book 1 and 2, which were rereads, book 3 and 4, I have no idea what they are about. So let's just read the inside dust jacket together. 8 years have passed since Princess Bitterblue and her country were saved from the vicious King Lek. Now Bitterblue is the Queen of Monsea and her land is at peace. But the influence of her father and his mind-altering abilities lives on. Her advisors believe in a forward-thinking plan, to pardon all of those who committed terrible acts during Lek's reign, and to forget every dark event that has ever happened. Monsea's past has been shrouded in mystery, and it's only when Bitterblue begins sneaking out of her castle, curious, disguised, and alone, to walk the streets of her city, that she begins to realize the truth. Her kingdom has been under the spell of a madman, and their only chance to move forward is to revisit the past, whatever that past holds. Ooh, okay. This is very exciting. So in Graceling, King Lek was supposed to be more of a mysterious figure who just kind of came onto the scene and just put Monsea under this spell. And then Fire shows us a little bit of his background when he was a child before he even came to Monsea. And now we're in Bitterblue, where we're going to be exploring King Lek's time after Fire, but before Graceling. And we're going to be doing that through Bitterblue, his child, seeking out those memories. That's interesting. Okay. Okay. I'm interested. I'm much more interested now. I thought this was going to be like super, like unconnected, disconnected. I was super worried for that. So I have this tabbed out. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 tabs. I'll be checking in with you before part 2. Before part 3, before part 4, and before part 5. Because part 5 is only like 30-ish pages, I might just wait to check in with you guys until after the book, because I don't know how much might be happening. But we might also use that time to do reactionary shots. So who knows? Also at the back of the book, they have a who's who of the world as we know it. They also have things about bridges, like drawings of bridges. And, like, I don't know if that's supposed to be something about, like these are real bridges, or if this is, like, some sort of mental scape. Then we have this interestingly drawn, intricately drawn, castle? The castle. It's the castle. We also have these. Seems interesting. And then the world as we know it, which is just more of a crudely drawn map of the original map that we had in Graceling. So we have the 7 kingdoms and Bitterblue City up here. It looks like... Oh, look! A bridge! Ooh, the River Dell. Okay, I think I'm understanding some things. I love looking at the maps of books. Okay, so I will be checking in with you guys at part 2, 100 pages in. We start with a prologue, and then part 1, which is called Stories and Lies. Which is nearly 9 years later after the prologue. Okay. All right, girl. Let's go. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Well, technically, the next page, which is chapter 8. Alright, you guys, so check-in time. I have read officially. Don't mind my casual clothes. I'm home from work. Okay, we're living for it. Okay. Part 1, recap, stories and lies. Basically, so we have our main character, Bitterblue, who we know from the first book. Wait, okay, so obviously this vlog has spoilers. Spoiler warning all over the place for this entire series, Graceling Realm series, and for Bitterblue and Winterkeep specifically. So, Bitterblue is a character that we knew in Graceling. This takes place 8 years? So this takes place 9 years after the events of Graceling. So, Bitterblue is the daughter of King Lek. King Lek was the king of Monsey, and Monsey is now her kingdom. So since Bitterblue was only 10 when her father was killed and she assumed the throne, her uncle from his name is King Roar, and I think he's from another kingdom. Anyway, her uncle came in and set up like this council to help her rule while she was a child, and now she's 19 and she still has that council, and that council is like bogging her down with paperwork, and she feels like they're hiding something from her, and she also feels like something's off. Like she's just getting the feeling that something is just not quite right here. So she starts to sneak out at night, and what she finds are these secret like pubs, but it's the secret isn't that it's a pub where they sell alcohol. The secret is that there are people who come and they tell stories, like real stories. So they tell stories of King Lek and how he came to be, and there's stories of Katsa and Poe, and there's also some other stories that Bitterblue hasn't heard before. And so Bitterblue is just confused, and so she also runs into 2 other guys. They're like, I don't know, street rats. I don't buy that. Alright, don't flag me, Disney, okay? I'm stopping. Anyway, and she like starts to help them without them knowing that she's the queen of Monsey. And so she's just like trying to figure it all out, and she's kind of playing detective at this point. Right at the end, she wrote out like a list of puzzle pieces, like all the mysteries she has in the book, which I think is super cute, and honestly, it's what I do when I read mystery novels. Like, the last time I remember doing that was for 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, but I really only did that because that writing was so atrocious, and there were so many things that weren't addressed, and mysteries that weren't solved, and it was just irksome. But it's really cute to see the character do something that I have done personally. Also, I continue to put forth the idea that this series is a great series to transition you from just like regular fantasy to more like a political intrigue-filled fantasy with some other aspects in it, because she's got the whole list of puzzles. Like, it's a good series to get you started into that, and I'm enjoying where we're going. So that was the check-in. Part 2 is called Puzzles and Muddles. I'm not sure what muddles means, but now we're a month later. So it was August, now it's September, and we're moving on. So I won't be checking in with you guys until part 3, which has a cat. That's so cute. Love kitties. And that is 170 pages from now. So we'll have much more things to say, and hopefully they're all good things to say. I am enjoying it so far. I'm waiting for Bitterblue to have her Fire moment, right? In Fire, the main character, Fire, she was just kind of meek and not like sure of herself and not very confident, and I'm just waiting for Bitterblue to, not that she isn't confident already, but I'm just waiting for her to like break out and just own that she's the queen, start making the tough calls, and like going with it, you know? Here I am, Hello! It's the very next day, and this is the angle that I was hoping to have gotten yesterday. But that's not what happened when I went back and looked at that video. And I had already started reading after that check-in, so if I re-recorded it, it would have been like disingenuous. So I decided to keep it, and you know, and I was thinking just a second ago how different this vlog and part one was. Part one, it took me a really long time to read those books, and now I'm checking in with you guys every day, which is super exciting. However, I am already messing up my shots for some reason. Interesting. Okay, so Bitterblue, let's do our second check-in. I just finished part 2, which was called Puzzles and Muddles. And now we're on to part 3, which is Ciphers and Keys. And this takes place in September, October, whereas part 2 took place in September. Okay. Check-in. So things are kind of coming to a head in the sense that Bitterblue is finding more truth and putting all of her puzzle pieces together. The friends that she made when she was traveling outside the castle, and she gave them a false name and everything. They now know who she is. Yeah, things are just kind of coming to a head in that sense. Poe and Katza are both in the story now, and they are having relationship things, and it's really interesting to see because there's a lot of layered and complicated issues and things that you really just have to sit and think about. It's really interesting not getting certain characters' perspective. I've been reading and listening to a lot of romance novels, and you get like both main characters' perspective, so that way there's not a lot of miscommunication between the characters and the reader. The reader always understands where the characters are coming from. But in fantasy novels and other stuff, you don't necessarily get that unless that's the book's style. And that's not this book's style. It's all in the perspective of the main heroine. So this book isn't about Katza or about Poe, so we don't really get a lot of that stuff. So like when you see them start to have issues, you're like, no, my loves, why? I love how the books are getting gradually more and more intricate. And as they're getting more intricate, you're getting characters introduced like Bitterblue, who is a little bit slow on the pickup. So she helps readers along a little bit. And I have already said it a few times. I think I'm going to continue to say it. This is a great introduction into high fantasy and political intrigue, and really good. The way that she writes the romance between characters, it's like everything to me. It's so subtle and delicate and beautiful and... All right. I will be checking in with you guys in another like 100-ish pages. Let me check. Yeah, in like another 100-ish pages, bridges and crossings, which is exciting. But it looks ominous. There's a lot of skulls. Also, maybe we'll figure out why Lek built all those bridges. I mean, it's interesting because stuff happened. A decent amount of things happened plot-wise, but not really a lot happened. I think more things happened character-wise than plot-wise. There was a lot of Bitterblue, like, kind of figuring things out. A lot of her filling in ciphers and a lot of info. And then her kind of realizing that she's not going to get answers to what happened from anyone else other than Lek. And good thing she found Lek's diary that is ciphered. So that's what happened at the very end of this part. And I think that's kind of the most interesting thing that has happened. Oh, aside from, the bridges go over the Silver River, which for some reason King Lek has had them renamed the River Dell. Now, in that river there are bones from all kinds of people, and Bitterblue is having those bones excavated. We think that they're the victims of Lek. Honestly, it's interesting because this whole book has been about trying to figure out what happened in the past in order to make the future a better place and in order to make Bitterblue's kingdom a better place. So like the like type of espionage that's happening has more to do with like history and deciphering codes and like that kind of stuff as opposed to like current political stuff. I mean, I really enjoy it, but I feel like it's just a lot of information. It's not really too adventurous, especially when Bitterblue, after her friends figure out that she is the queen, her escapades outside of the castle pretty much stop. So it's a lot more like just info and a lot of like world building of what happened in the past 30 years and Bitterblue trying to figure it out. It's super interesting, but it's not as adventurous as the first two books were, I would say. So now we're on part 4, which is Bridges and Crossings. And then this is gonna be the next like 100-ish pages. Part 5 is really only like 30 pages long, so I think I won't touch base with you guys until I finish the end of this book because I can't foresee too much happening in part 5 that like will warrant its own check-in aside from part 4. Alright, so I won't see you guys until we finish the book, and hopefully I just love it to pieces. So fingers crossed that the next time you see me, I'm happy. You guys. Okay, so, I just finished Bitterblue. It was good. It's, such a strange series. Like, the pacing of the series in general is strange. I don't understand it. So, this book doesn't really have a bad guy. It has like the bad guy is ignorance. And we're just trying to figure out what Lek did during his reign in Monsey. I'm not sure of the timeline right now, but Editing Mackenzie's gonna pop up a little graphic of the timeline of the first 3 books, because Graceling is the first book, and then Fire takes place in the past, and then Bitterblue takes place in the future ahead of Graceling. And we do get the characters of Fire in this a little bit, because at the very end they realize that there's a tunnel under the mountains to get into the Dells. I don't know. It was just kind of weird. Like, I really enjoyed it. I enjoy this world, and I enjoy the strange things that have happened, like how because of Lek, there's so much that they don't know has happened, like so much tradition that's been lost. Monsey has been changed into look more like the Dells. Like, it's good, but I don't think I've ever read a book like this where there wasn't like a bad guy. They were just trying to figure out some information. You know, like typically, even if it starts with they're just trying to figure out information, we kind of end up seeing a bad guy. But that's just not the case here. So it was kind of strange. The character of Bitterblue is very different than the other 2 books' main characters. Her love story it's not a huge aspect of the book. She has this guy that she kind of has feelings for, but they don't end up together at the end, and it's not something that they like purposefully work towards to being together. I think more so what this was about is about Bitterblue becoming more of an adult and more of a queen. It's very interesting because the first time we see Bitterblue's character, she's like 10 or 11, And now we get her again in this book where she's like 18, 19. And I almost expected her to be very different from the character we knew beforehand, but she really wasn't. She was still very young, and I think that it did a lot to help the story as well, because she was sheltered by everyone who knew her because she was so young at the time of the Graceling book, that like now it's all about her trying to like disillusion herself from the world that she thinks she's living in and the people who are in it. It's a very interesting concept. It was so weird and so interesting. Like, I can't get over the fact that for 3 books we've been following the main bad guy, who's Lek, and like he died in the first book and we're still following all of the things. I feel like Dune Messiah kind of like helped me get into a place to accept this kind of book, because Dune Messiah is all about the repercussions, and so is this book. All about the repercussions of everything that's happened in the first 2 books, and what does it mean for the world now. I enjoyed it, but I do want it to be very clear that this is not an adventure. It's not very adventurous. It's not very romantic. It's a very different book than the other 2. Very different. And it's cool, but it is very different. So, you're currently sitting on a stack of books, and one of those books is Winterkeep. So, I'm going to readjust, and then we'll talk about Winterkeep in a second. So, we have now Winterkeep, which is the 4th book, the final book. Let's read the synopsis. Something is rotten in the heart of Winterkeep. 4 years after the events of Bitterblue, a new land has been discovered in the east, Torla, and the closest nation to Mansi is Winterkeep. Wait, what? Okay, so Torla is the continent and Winterkeep is the country? Winterkeep is a land of miracles, a democratic republic run by people who like each other, where people speak to telepathic sea creatures, adopt telepathic foxes as pets, and fly across the sky in ships attached to balloons. But when Bitterblue's envoys to Winterkeep drown under suspicious circumstances, she and Gideon and her half-sister Hava set off to discover the truth, putting both Bitterblue's life and Gideon's heart to the test when Bitterblue is kidnapped. Gideon believes she has drowned, leaving him and Hava to solve the mystery of what's wrong in Winterkeep. Lovisa Kavenda is the teenage daughter of a powerful scholar and industrialist, the opposing governing parties. With a fire inside her that is always hungry, always just nearly about to make something happen, she is the key to everything, but only if she can figure out what's going on before anyone else, and only if she's willing to transcend the person she's been all her life. So this sounds confusing as hell. Okay, first thoughts. I didn't enjoy Gideon's character in Graceling either. I don't like that he is... Like, he made such a huge character change from Graceling to Bitterblue, and I understand that, like, years have passed, but he's, like, he changed so much, and it's kind of ridiculous, and now he's going to be Bitterblue's love interest, it seems like, and I don't enjoy that at all. I would have loved if Bitterblue found someone new, and we don't just keep dating within our circle. I don't enjoy stories like that. I don't enjoy stories where it's a group of friends and they all date each other. I don't enjoy. We're going to visit this whole other land, this whole other continent, and I really just would have liked it if we got more of, like, the 7 Kingdoms and the Dells and Pykia together. And it looks like we're also going to get, like, another point of view, which is Lovisa. We've got the known world on a map. So we have the Dells and Pykia, we have the 7 Kingdoms over here, and then at the end of Bitterblue, the Dells and Pykia were making their way east to see what's going on. And it seems as if now they've found this land, and Bitterblue's on her way there. I'm trying to see, it seems like the point of view is going to be switching. I see some for Gideon, I see some for Lovisa, is that her name? Lovisa? I don't know how excited I am for this 4th book, but I guess we'll see. I'll talk to you guys in like 50 pages, but I do have work today, so I might not check in with you guys until tomorrow. So I'll just see you when I see you. I got pumpkin spice creamer, and it's everything to me right now. Okay. Time for an update. I wrote down some notes. I really appreciate Gideon's points of view because it makes me like him a little bit more. Like, I know that the timeline for the books, like, there are years in between the books, but I did feel like Gideon's character went from super, like, you know, annoying guy in the first book to stand-up righteous man in book 3. And now in book 4, I do kind of see the more, like, the humanness of him, and it endears me to him. I appreciate his points of view. They do exactly what they're meant to, which is to make me like him and understand where he's coming from, and also why he seems to have changed so much. He's just trying to be worthy of all of these great people's friendships. It's adorable, really. So we have Lovisa, who is Katu's niece. So Lovisa and Katu are part of the Kavenda family who live in Winterkeep. And this family is like a high-ranking family. They don't have like monarchies, they have democracies. So their family is just like a good representative family, I guess. Katu and Bitterblue have kind of had a thing, and now Katu is missing, so Bitterblue is making a trip over to Winterkeep, but not only because Katu is missing, but because there is a substance called zilphium, which Winterkeep and that continent has not told Bitterblue how important zilphium is, or that she has huge stores of zilphium in Monsey. And they've been buying her zilphium for, like, no money. So she's, like, tired of being tricked. And, you know, it was a moment of pure joy for me. Because one paragraph is about Bitterblue and all of the exes that she's had and her, like, romance, and how Sky is with Saf now and Saf is bi, and now the next paragraph is about all of these politics and how this continent is not discussing with Bitterblue, and now they're stealing resources, and it's just like, oh my gosh, I love everything. It's like high school drama and political intrigue in one bundle, and I freaking love it, dude. It's so funny. It's so awesome. Also, Lovisa kind of reminds me of that inventor girl from My Hero Academia. What's her name? Hatsumi? I think that's her name. I'll put up a picture of her, but Lovisa totally reminds me of her, and we've only got one chapter with her, but I like her. She's just a little silly. So the foxes are like blue. They're blue foxes, and they like have a mental bond with the people in Winterkeep. Like each fox picks a person to have a mental bond with. And then they go and they like spy and like do all of that stuff. But Lovisa doesn't like the foxes. But her behavior is just like the foxes. She skips out on class to go spy on her parents and find out what they were, sneak talking about. And it just seems very much like what she was condemning the foxes for. So, I don't know. But that was kind of interesting. I have it posted to check in with you in another 50 pages right before part 2 starts. And I'm excited. I was really nervous to start this book. I don't know why. I just felt like it wasn't going to be like in theme. I mean, it's a little bit not. We don't have a one female protagonist point of view that we're following. We're following the same people pretty much. And then we're also getting Gideon's point of view, which I still think he's going to be the main love interest, which I'm not as upset with as I was before. It's okay. It's fine. But it's weird to get his point of view when in the other books we did not get the point of view of their love interest. So it is a little bit strange. So I'll check back in with you guys in another 50 pages and we'll see what I have to say then. Hello, you guys. Here I am to talk to you about this. So I was going to stop at 100 pages and talk to you guys, but not much really happened in those 50 pages aside from like plot. So I decided to wait until where I am now, which is right before part 3. And we just got a pretty big reveal. So Bitterblue, Gideon, and Hava were on their way to Winterkeep. And on their way to Winterkeep, Bitterblue, there was like kind of like rambunctious seas, and so Bitterblue got like swept off into sea, and these creatures called silver cows, which are kind of like these manatee type things, but they're silver and they communicate with humans and other animals telepathically. The silver cows saved her and took her to someone, and that someone did not return her to her party. So we don't know where she was, and we just figured out where she was. That was the big reveal. And I'm enjoying it, but it feels disconnected from the other 3. Like if the other 3 were all about, had this overarching theme of King Lek and all the evil things that he's done, like this one is separate, but they all kind of feel disjointed. Like I'm enjoying it individually, but to call it a series feels more of a stretch. I'm not sure what to expect because, like I said, all of them have kind of felt disjointed. I am enjoying it. I do expect to continue to enjoy it and for it to have a satisfying ending, because all the books seem to still have a satisfying ending. We just got Lovisa's point of view where she meets Bitterblue and figures out where she's being held. And so we just got that meeting. Lovisa is the only new point of view, well, the only new character who has a point of view in the story. Gideon also has points of view, and so does Hava. They've never had points of view before. But it is still good, and I do continue to love the relationship that Gideon has with everybody and the relationship he has with himself. And I love to see that while Gideon and Bitterblue are both separated, they still talk to each other, like as if they're there, and like, it's so good. It's so good. It's so cute. I've really started to love their relationship, even though they've been separated for like most of the book. It's been really sweet to see them kind of like understand themselves and their feelings. So I will be checking in with you guys probably at the end of part 3, right before part 4, unless nothing happens and I have nothing to say. And then I'll check in with you maybe a little bit later. Okay, I'll see you in a bit. Here I am, right before part 4, nearly 200 pages left at the end of the book, presumably the end of this series, and all I can think is I don't want the series to end here. It feels like we've started a new branch of the series, and I'd like to continue on into the new continent and know more things and learn about other people and follow their stories, and I'm not done with this series. I am glad that we are back to more of an adventure type scenario and storyline, but it still has more of a heavy political intrigue to it. And really, there's again, like the 3rd book, there is no bad guy. The bad guy here is greed and business venture. I mean, there is a bad guy because somebody kidnapped Bitterblue. So, and we found out who it was, so that was very exciting. So Lovisa's father killed Katu, presumably, because he has Katu's ring and travel papers and identification and everything else. And he also kidnapped Bitterblue. When the silver cows brought Bitterblue up to the surface of the water, he rescued her, but instead of just giving her back to the delegation, he kidnapped her and kept her under the same roof as the delegation for that dinner. That's messed up, dude. So Bitterblue was just rescued by Lovisa from her father, and now they're on the run. They're going north, presumably to meet up with Gideon and Hava, because they were also on their way to Torla's Neck with Quona Varana. There's a lot of names, and it totally helps having the audiobook, because I don't know where I would be pronunciation-wise if I didn't know what things and people were already called. So, presumably, in the end, we're gonna get some sort of resolution between Bitterblue and Lovisa's father, who kidnapped her, and also all of the delegates who took advantage of Bitterblue's knowledge, or lack thereof, of Zilphium, which is a fuel. Like, it's all political intrigue. All of this stuff with, like, the Gracelings and the magic and the monsters, I feel like we've taken a very sharp turn after the second two books. And it's cool, but I feel like even... So the third book took a turn, and the fourth book took even more of a turn, and, like, are we just supposed to end now? Like, I feel like it's not finished. I hope it's not finished. So that's that. I have 200 pages left, and, you know, I don't think I'll check in with you guys until the end, because the last part only has about, like, 50 pages to it. So I will see you guys at the end of this book, where we will summarize and then talk about the entire series as a whole, because that's, oh my gosh, utterly exciting. I will have finished this series. Alright, you guys, I did it. I officially finished Winterkeep, and now it can go up here with Bitterblue, because I finished it. So, first things first, the Graceling Realm series is officially getting its 5th book. Kristen Cashore is doing, I guess, research for the book. She went on a boat, and that's really all the article had to tell me. And there's a listing on Goodreads for the 5th installment of the series with no release date. It's a really good series. I think, like I said in the last update, book 3 really took a hard turn in the series and started to switch up and become much more political centric, as opposed to, like, there's one bad guy, and that continued on in book 4. There is a bad guy in the sense, but it comes down to politics and the corruption of politics and the people in politics and the corruption of them. It was really interesting. It was really, the ending and conclusion was such a soft ending. It just kind of happened, you know? It wasn't like there was a big battle or anything, and I know I kind of said that this book felt more adventurous, and it did, just because, though, there were multiple points of view, and so we were constantly switching around who were we with and where were we, and that was adventurous in itself. It allowed the book to feel like it was still on pace and never lost speed. However, it's not an adventure type book where there's this big battle scene and one big bad guy and you kind of have to fight your way out of things. It's definitely not like that at all. It's amazing, but I don't want to, like, sell you on something that it's not, because it's the worst. Winterkeep was absolutely amazing, and I was so nervous going into this book. I thought I wasn't going to like it. I knew it was taking a very stark turn. Instead of the continent that we had been focusing on for 3 books, we were moving to another continent in the east with more people, and I was very worried about it. And I just absolutely blown away by how much that I enjoyed it. It was so good, you guys. Oh man, was it good. Really good books. Really enjoyed them. So glad that I have these editions. But now when the 5th book comes out, I have to, like, seriously hope that Fairy Loot is A, still around, because businesses go under, and that's a thing that can happen. And B, will also put out an edition. I hope they do. Most of the time they do. So, fingers crossed, you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this reading vlog. I super enjoyed this reading vlog. I'm so glad to have finally finished the Graceling Realm series, to have the stories in my heart. Honestly, you guys, they're so good. And oh yeah, book 4 really didn't have, like, book 3 and 4 really take this, like, diverging trail away from the romance part. Like, so in Bitterblue gets with Saf, but in Winterkeep we find out that they were only together for a little bit, and then Saf went off, and then Bitterblue had a few, like, different kind of boyfriends, and then she finally settles down with Gideon, which was super cute. I really enjoyed it. It's good. Really good. But, like, there were multiple points of view. There was Bitterblue's, there was Gideon's, so they ended up together. They had Hava's point of view, and then they also have Lavisa's point of view. And those two don't end up with anybody. The 5th book is from Hava's perspective, so I'm very excited. I hope she gets someone, and I kind of want to see, like, more about her. She's very interesting and, like, sad soft baby. I love her. Alright, so I really enjoyed this reading vlog. I think you can tell by how much I'm just yammering on about it. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!